pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Present.
Darcy McSwain,
Present.
Paul Jenderski,
Here.
Edgar Titoff,
Present.
Michael Nesbitt,
Present.
Kathy Harris, Troy Freed.
Present.
Any adjustments to the agenda?
I would like to add letter G, fishing pier dash bench kit. And the quote is on your desk.
Any announcements, public comment?
What did you say?
Any announcements, public comment?
I have to talk about this now. If I don't talk about it now, it'll be too late at the end of the comment. But what I'm here to talk about is the ditch on my road. My ditch, my neighbor's ditches are all flowing just great. But because Mr. Freed's basement flooded, back when all that rain was and the dams burst, which was his only complaint, the only complaint we had was that time. Nothing after that until he brought that up. So I'm just here to tell you that I just bought a fire truck. I don't need to pay $91,000 for a ditch that I don't need cleaned out. And he said my road is dangerous. He's telling us all these roads are dangerous. I wanna know where you got your degree to say that. Tell me where you got your degree.
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but pertaining to
No,
my.
I need your
Hold on a minute.
degree to tell me where you got your degree. What college or institution did you go to get a degree to tell me that my ditch needs cleaning out?
I actually do that on a daily basis.
No, I didn't ask you that.
All
This
of-
is
I-
public
I do- I
comment,
do
you
it-
don't have to respond.
No back and forth necessary.
You don't have to respond.
Or what high school you graduated from. Look, Jeff. But anyways, the only people that have to pay is the north side of Ethic Road. South side don't have to pay. So we're gonna take the blunt of $91,000 if you clean out that ditch, which does not need it. He has not the right to tell us that we have to have that ditch cleaned out if mine is flowing great. My neighbors are flowing great. Everything seems to be fine. But because he flooded out, he has a problem. He better buy a better sump pump. Thank you.
Didn't we vote
Thank
already
you.
not to clean that out?
Voted not to use air construction at $300 an hour.
Didn't we vote on that for like $3,000? Two of us voted yes and the other people said no.
It was voted
Is
down in that respect as air construction doing the work.
Is it not part of the infrastructure to clean the ditches out?
It's on the agenda, we'll get to it, but.
Okay.
Anyone else, public comment?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Yes, sir.
I have to agree with her. My name's Kevin Kilborn. I live just down the road from her. And I've got the same issue. I don't know where this came from. If I didn't pull on my driveway and see Spicer out there with a couple kids with transits, I wouldn't even know anything about this. And I don't see how that can work. How one person who isn't qualified to judge our highways, our roads, he may do it all day. I'm a journeyman electrician, but I still have to go to a master when I want a big change. And that's a big change. So I don't see where one person can all of a sudden cost the village and us a combination thereof of $100,000. If there's an issue with it and it affects 10 people, I've got the paperwork here, I finally got it, then it shows the elevation. I'm at the lowest part of the road. I'm 15 feet lower than Mr. Freed. if you dig that ditch out any further, I'm just gonna be breeding mosquitoes all the time. It flows fine, we got 3 inches of rain, and believe it or not, Alexa bailed me out. I asked her how much water. I put my yard size in, 3 inches of water in there, it's over 3 million gallons of water we got in 2 days. It takes a while to clear that out of there. There's nothing wrong with that. I walked it with Mr. Freed, and there was no water buildup anywhere. There's a little water in the ditch because it's gotta work its way out. But I don't see an issue. And I've talked to 5 other people in the neighborhood, and they don't see an issue. So I don't know what the deal is. I had Walker Excavating came out. I have a little lake in my yard that happens every spring. And so he came out and I paid him myself to have him come up with a dozer or excavator and clean a ditch, make a ditch. There was no ditch there. So he took care of that, and it took care of my problem. So if there's an issue down the road, 1,200 yards, then maybe he can hire a ditch and do the same. But I don't see a problem with that. I don't understand. And if there is an issue, why can't we get the 10 people involved in this and come down here and have a meeting? I'm sure Hart would be willing to do it, and I'm sure Troy would too. So, and then he can explain to me what the problem is. He said that there's water going over the road. I've been here 30 years. I've never seen water going over the road. I've never seen water go over my ditch. I had it, when I built my house, I had Sapansky dig a ditch all the way out to the road. And my neighbor was laughing at me. He said, "What do you need a ditch like that for?" I've never had a sump pump. You know, I don't need one because the ditch runs water into that drainage ditch all day long. You can go there anytime in the summertime, there's always water flowing. But I've never had an issue with it. I'm at the lowest part of the village, the lowest part of the road down that end. So I don't see an issue. So can somebody explain to me what the problem is that we're gonna spend? I mean, I'm retired, I can't afford all this. And like she said, we just bought a fire truck. I didn't get any say on that either. I thought that would be on the vote. I thought we'd see that on there. I don't mind it. If we need a fire truck, we need one. But this we don't need. And so, I don't know, it's just my point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, real quick on that, when I was on the council, we had the same issues with sidewalks in town. And we decided that we all voted and there's a fund or whatever set up, so if it's something for the trees, if it's that the village causes over age or whatever, the people don't have to pay for that themselves. Why can't we do something like that for the ditches? I mean, it's not their fault, that a 50-year-old ditch is filling in, but
Yeah, we asking to clean it out, or we asking to dig it out? We're not asking to dig a new ditch.
if one person is flooding out and everybody else around them is fine. My house, I had the same thing with flood insurance. I had to fight FEMA to get elevation on 12, 14 inches above everybody else around me. I don't pay flood insurance. It costs me money to do that. If the one guy that is flooding out, if he's got a problem, shouldn't he have to pay for that rather than everybody else? I mean, if I put my house in a swamp, I'm expecting to get mosquitoes and flooding. So, it's just my 2 cents on it.
Anybody else got a public comment? Financial audit, Mr. Ken. You taught us this last name last year. Can you say it for me?
Berthium.
Berthium, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Pleased to present the audited financial statements for the fiscal year ended March 31st, 24. The audit out here again this year went very smooth. We encountered no problems or difficulties. We received excellent help from the village staff. As a result of our audit work, we produced this report for you here. And on page 1, 2, 3, we have the independent auditor's report. This is our opinion on the financial statements, that they're fairly presented in all material respects. And that's an unmodified opinion, which is the best that you can get. Okay. So I'd just like to briefly run through the report with you a little bit here. Starting on page 8, you have the book up there. Page 8 is part of the management's discussion and analysis, a comparative statement of activities here. What you're seeing are the revenues and expenditures for the 2 years compared, very condensed. But you can see overall that the village, again, experienced positive change in that position for the year, again. Governmental activities had an increase in that position of about 543,000. Business type activities had a net increase in that position of about 274,000. So the trend is good, you might say, both up. Increases in capital grants and operating grants really accounted for most of that positive result. The property tax revenues were up about 2%, and that was just because of the increases in the property SEV. The village millage rate of 15%, 15 mills, I should say, rather than percent. 15 mills is the same as it's been for a long time. Okay. Moving ahead to page 11. Here we see the statement of net position as of March 31st. So this is a big picture of where the village stood in all of its activities and funds on that date. This is prepared on a full accrual method of accounting, which means that here we include all capital assets on the balance sheet, and we include long-term debt, and pension obligations and OPEB obligations. Okay, so that's really to get a good picture of where you stand totally financially. So here we see that the village continues to report in the unrestricted net position a deficit in its governmental activities. You see a number down there on the left-hand side, negative, or in brackets, 813,526 unrestricted deficit. What that means is that in those governmental activities, when we've included all the assets and all the liabilities for pension and the like, you have more liabilities than you have assets. And that's because of those pension liabilities, the unfunded pension, which is presented there. Altogether, the pension liability which was measured at the end of December last year, came in at $1,480,000 approximately. So that's the unfunded amount. You have a certain amount in a trust fund at MERS, and the actuaries figure out what the actual liability is for what the employees have actually earned and what they're going to have to get paid. And the difference is the deficit, $1,480,000. You have a similar situation with the OPEB liabilities. OPEB is other post-employment benefits. So the village has promised to pay its workers and retirees health care benefits when they retire. And an actuary has figured out that liability is about $853,000. So that's included in the liabilities. It's not something that you have to pay now, obviously. You have a long time to pay this. The village has been very proactive here on this pension, and you've been making extra payments for the last 5 years. I added up what you've paid, it's over $500,000. Last year you paid about $69,000. So you're doing the right thing. The problem, it seems to be, with the return on investments. When the money is put into MERS, they invest it, and they're projecting that you're going to make 7% long-term. You might, but you haven't recently, and so consequently, that's one of the problems, with the pension, is the return on investment. Hopefully that'll turn around here someday. So that's the big picture on the net position. I'd like to move to page 14. Here you have the balance sheets for the governmental type funds. You see 4 funds. The governmental funds are the general fund and your street. You have 3 street funds. The method of accounting that's used for funds like this is a modified accrual, which means we really only are looking at current available resources, like current assets and current liabilities. And under that method of accounting, you don't report any deficits. You have very adequate fund balance from that standpoint, okay? The fund balance for the general fund came in at a total of $1,148,000. So one way to look at fund balance is in terms of like how much money do you spend in a given year, roughly in your general fund. And it looks like the annual expenditures are about 1.2 million in the general. So you've got almost that much in fund balance. So you're good almost for a year. That's a very good position to be in. Basically, you're like 100% of your budget expenditures for the next year. So that's a very good position to be. The three street funds showing there came in with a total fund balance of about $844,000. So at the end of March, you have that much money basically in the street funds that can be used for maintenance and improvements of the streets. It is restricted definitely for the streets. Okay. And then on page 16, here you have a continuation of the governmental funds. This is a statement of revenues and expenditures for the year. All the funds, all these governmental funds had increases in fund balance for the year, so that was good. The general fund, as you can see there, had revenues of $1,239,000 approximately. Expenditures were approximately $1,197,000. Bottom line was a change in that position being a positive $17,800 and some dollars. So that shows that you did a pretty good job managing the budget to come that close with the revenues and expenditures matched like that. Okay, then finally on to page 21. Here we have this is for the business type funds. The village has three business type funds. You have a sewer, water, and an internal service fund, which is an equipment fund. Sewer and water funds had positive cash flows for the year, as you can see. Net positive cash flow for sewer was about $138,000. And water, positive cash flow of $904,000. In the water fund, we can see here that last year you got proceeds from the bond issuance that you did. That was $3,595,000 that came in. And then we see a line there for acquisition of capital assets is $2,966,000. You still had some money left over. At the end of March, there was still $800,000 on deposit with the county, and which is restricted, I think, for the projects that you're doing in the water fund. And so that's where the money will be used up next year, that excess that you had here right there. Okay. But that was good. It showed a good position for those funds coming in positive like that. So anyhow, that's my report. And in conclusion, I would just like to thank you again for choosing Berthium Company to do the audit again. And I welcome any questions or comments.
This is good, we're on budget.
Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
You're welcome.
Just thank you for doing it, because I couldn't do that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay, very good.
Appreciate it.
See you next year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Spicer.
Good evening. I believe everyone should have received a copy of the engineer's report this month. Ed, you threw me off, putting me second after Ken today. I stood up and thought I was coming up here right after public comment. Couple things. We wrapped up the PWAM grant, provided Hart a copy of it. We'll make any final corrections to it, changes to it. I just want to review base maps with Don and Hart, in the next week or so here. I'll highlight a couple things out of it quick. Identified the village's critical assets, transmission mains, water tower, meter pit, things like that. You know, as far as the stance that we've been taking and talked about over the past few years and how we've, you know, implemented capital improvement the program, adopted in 2018. You know, we specifically target the cast iron, 4 and 6 inch cast iron water main within the village. It's been a driver of the capital improvement projects. It remains a driver of the capital improvement projects next year, as well as in the 20-year capital improvement plan as well. We see the lead and galvanized services specifically in those areas, and, you know, the goal is to get them all out of the system by 2040. So that's primarily what made the capital improvement plan. We met with John Kazar, looked at the rates again, incorporated capital projects into the rates, and, you know, went through and, like I said, the report really takes a deeper dive into, you know, the expected life remaining for each asset within the water system. Once we, you know, get through this review stage, I'm more than happy to go into it in more depth if anyone has questions. But overall, I think the report turned out pretty good. We, you know, got the preliminary DSMI work required to be completed. And then it's kind of gonna lead right into the next grant that we received, which we'll get into here in a minute. But I don't know, does anyone have any questions on the DWAM grant? It's a 6-page binder of information, so when you got time, go through it. Phase 1 water system improvements, Air Construction was able to get out and do some of the punch list items. We have some remaining. We've reseeded some areas, installed a catch basin. They've got some concrete left they gotta pour, but just minor stuff. Hopefully we can get that project wrapped up in the next month or so. I have not heard of any complaints recently on phase 1. Like I said, we've addressed the punch list items. If there are more items that come up, we will get them addressed, but overall, I think that project's looking pretty good. Questions, comments on that project? TMF grant. So the village received, and I'm sure Hart's kept you guys in the loop with all this, and you're up to speed with it, but $597,000 for additional service line verification. We got that news, you know, just this month. That's great. You know, we presented the application to Eagle in January, and, you know, just found out about it, and we were funded for the entire amount that we applied for. We met with Don and Hart. Plan is to identify the areas. We've got somewhere between 420 water services that we want to identify that, you know, could contain a lead or galvanized component in the village's water system, and get a project put together and out to bid for hydro excavating, you know, hopefully this year yet. We'll push out a preliminary tentative schedule once we get a little bit more information nailed down here and get that going, you know. So that's, again, great for the village. You know, I talked to Hart today, and here we're given an asset management plan, and we're gonna continue to update it and, you know, build upon what we already know. So looking forward to moving that project forward, and it'll be very similar to the first part of the DWAM grant, where we did the hydro excavation, located curb boxes, we'll GPS them in. Depending on, you know, what we find during this project, there is opportunity, funds within the grant to apply for an SRF grant through the state of Michigan. And then we've got some lead service line outreach and public education in there as well. So I have a copy of the application, Hart. I can email it to you again if you need it, but it's great news for the village. Again, it's 100% grant, no local match, so $597,000 and some change. Safe routes to school. We got some good news with Safe Routes to School again. I don't think it's finalized yet, but we have a meeting with LAP and the design team on August 27th. So we'll sit down with MDOT, we'll sit down with Adam Jenks, the village, and see what we need to do to finalize that and get it moving forward. I think that meeting is more to outline the LAP process and, you know, put a timeline together, what we can expect, and, you know, MDOT has their reviews. they need to do. We need historical, environmental, all that stuff, because it is a federally funded program. So we're going to keep that moving forward. You know, I would say we're confident where we're at right now with the project, and, you know, hopefully it all comes together here in the next couple weeks. We provided an estimate for Ithaca Road. That project is to do approximately 1,300 feet of ditching, culvert replacement, and driveway replacement. We have clearing, restoration, mobilization included in that. It kind of takes into, you know, consideration what we've been discussing in the project location where we're at right now. We haven't done a whole lot of engineering work out there yet. We did take some topo shots. There are high points. Some of the culverts are high. The condition of the culverts, I would, you know, without doing inspections on them, I would say some probably need to be replaced. But that number's in front of you guys to discuss as well. Other than that, 2025 water system improvement, I gotta touch base with the archaeologist on that. I have not had an update from him. He should be wrapping up his report. Design plans, I would say, are probably about 80–90% done. I need to do a final review with Don and a field walkthrough. And then it will be getting the application wrapped up, and hopefully we'll have that project out to bid. You know, we'll shoot for the spring sometime. So that's my update. Questions, comments?
I would just say, so we close up phase 1 in spring of '24, we continue with DWAM in fall of '24. Spring of '25, we start phase 2, and we can keep going after that, and then hopefully spring, summer, fall of '26 would be safe routes to school, and that's sidewalks on both sides of Walnut, both sides of Maple, crosswalks, and then sidewalk down Ithaca all the way to the apartments.
Yay.
Just one side?
Yes. And we'd have to get some archaeological studies done on the cemetery side, but the guy that just did the archaeological for phase 2 was rather affordable, so we'll probably go back to him. But progress continues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Mitchell.
Mitchell. Council minutes approval for July 10th, 2024.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2024 meeting.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Commission and committee reports. Downtown Development Authority for August 2nd, 2024. Is there an update on the signs?
No, they wanna design something, again, they're trying to keep with the old lumber theme, so they're gonna try to design something with our name and logo in it, so that you guys can see something, definitive, and see if you like that. Might not look as nice with another town's name on it, is their thought, but there are a few ladies there that are set on the modern black with lumber touch for the old town.
Sounds good.
I think what we should do is probably have a few of them come to a meeting and kind of discuss.
They have like one idea or several.
It's same principles, several options, but it's that modern black that you're seeing everywhere, like those barndominiums with
Yeah.
that wood
Mhm.
feature.
Is there some way they could combine lumber with the coal mining too?
We'll have to get them here.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
I'd point out that they approved the facade grant for Frank, so it's supposed to start today, but they'll be updating their green awning to a black awning, I believe, to match their new sign from last year, so it should look really nice. I'll make a motion to accept the DDA minutes for August 2nd, 2024.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Parks and Recreation Committee for July 17th, 2024.
So the fishing pier will be installed this month,
Next week,
next week.
growth continues. Met with Saginaw County Chamber of Commerce yesterday. They have a new CEO, President Eugene Seals Jr. You might probably remember him playing basketball against Jason Richardson back in the day, Saginaw High, Arthur Hill High. But he wants, obviously, the DDA to join the membership, which I think was his goal of coming out here. But they're trying to create, rather than just a city-centered Chamber of Commerce, more county-wide. So they've been in Merrill, they've been in Hemlock, and kind of explained what the DDA has done, what the village has done, and the enhancements and what we're trying to do to bring people here. And he's like, shoot, man, if I had known that, you know, because he's bringing kids out here to a camp this summer at the school. I think he has said he coaches 9 teams, and he's trying to bring them out here. He coached a few of the players on the girls team that went to the regionals last year, and so he has a good connection. He met him at Subway before our meeting, so he's gonna push us and be a champion for us as well, and explain what we're trying to do with kayak launch, with the fishing pier, and add some other features down there, whether it's a playscape or whether it's this or that. Just kind of mention the new playscape and the travel ball tournaments, bringing in 50 teams, 22 teams, 30 teams, 17 teams. So it's nice to just tell the good news out there and let it spread wide.
Nice. Great.
Is there any details on that pier? Is it floating?
It's the same as the kayak launch.
It's gonna be plastic?
Yep,
Sort of?
same premise, floating, and then a little bit larger. I can email you over
That's
details
fine.
if you'd like.
You say dual seats on there?
That's what they're suggesting for people to sit, if you want to be compliant to those elderly and whatnot. We can talk about that later, but.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the St. Charles Parks and Recreation minutes for Wednesday, July 17th, 2024.
Support. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Planning Commission for July 17th of 2024.
I'll make a motion we accept the minutes of the planning commission for July 18th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Communications Review Magazine.
Well, they only sent us 2 magazines, so you didn't get one, so I just emailed you over a link to the review magazine. It's mostly about low-income housing, MISTA, things like that. And how the state's really pushing rezoning for low-income housing right now.
I usually get one in the mail at my house, but I didn't get one, so. Are they doing it different now?
I don't know. We should probably get proper names and locations. Go from there.
Still says the Honorable Richard Horner on there. They didn't get the memo? Nothing on that, nobody? Payment of claims.
I've gotta admit, this is probably the first time in 2 years I've been here that I have no question about this.
Well, it's still not frozen over, but.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment of claims in the amount of $197,079.85.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? New business, item A, asphalt, J Street.
We had a water main break over there about a little over a year ago, and we put stone down, and it's time to probably patch it up. You know, it looks awful rough to go over. You can talk about the break. It was galvanized, hooked up.
It was a galvanized line all the way across the road, so we ended up.
Hooked up to something that was.
Up to the new 12-inch line.
So it was a new line, but they didn't change the whole line when they did the work in '97.
Is that between Charles Street and Saginaw, or?
It's Fulton.
Between Fulton and Saginaw.
Fulton and Saginaw?
So every time that we would clamp it or pinch it,
It'd
blow out somewhere down the line to the full point of the whole road was wide open, washed away. Might remember that. So, the guys were out there for probably, I don't know, I left at about 6:37. They were out there till midnight, filling it in, fixing the road, clamping it, so.
We did reach out to 3 asphalt companies and we only got one bid back, and that's what you have in front of you.
Okay.
How come it wasn't paid before now? Just
It needs to settle, it's about,
You gonna wait for another bid, or you just taking the one we got, or?
reached out to 3 of them, that's. the only
Jaeger,
one that
nobody,
come back.
nothing, huh? Guys too busy right now.
Yeah, Jaeger did the work for us on 52, and they like the Saturday projects, so, but
Hmm.
I think they're really busy right now, see them everywhere.
If you want it done this year, that's probably your option.
Mhm.
You couldn't even get a bid from somebody else to see if we're right in the ballpark?
All we can do is reach out to them, we can't force them to give us a bid back.
It doesn't sound that pricey. We're not getting gouged.
I think it's a 20 by 20 foot patch, I don't think it says it on
20 by
here.
20.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion we accept the bid from Mr. Asphalt.
Second.
Get that covered, get that done.
Roll call vote, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Dorsey McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski,
Yeah.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Troy
Yeah.
Freight.
Item B, school resource officer.
This is just to renew the grant, or the agreement between us and the school for Michelle and Chief to be there. We got them to agree to pay 50% of the wages and benefits of Michelle. This is just for the next calendar year to keep it going. In the past, the village fully subsidized the program, and working with Kelly Cornford and Mark Benson, we were able to find some money in the school side to match us, so.
After how many years?
I'll make a motion to accept our school resource officer agreement.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Library park request.
A few weeks ago, the library had a foam party at the park. It was pretty cool. It's not the kind you guys are thinking of. Relax. Kids had fun. Kona ice, bounce house, popcorn, face painting. And if you know Nanette, she's on the ball and wants to reserve it again for next year, July 25th of 2025, from 1 to 3. Just wants the village's permission so she can start planning.
I was there and it was an absolute great event. The kids, all kids of, from the, the youngest little squirt to, teenage, like 12, 13-year-old kids, they were just having a blast, and it was good, clean fun. They had a great time. It was amazing. As a parent, I really enjoyed watching these kids.
It was pretty cool.
Nice.
The small pavilion they're asking for goes for $40 per rental. If that's okay with you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anything for the kids?
I'll make a motion to approve the library's request for the reservation of Friday, July 25th, 2025.
I'll support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item D, flail mower quote.
And what this is about, since ditch maintenance and roadside maintenance has come up mean hard, I've been talking if, right now the mower that we have is a fixed unit on the back of the tractor, you can't really get down in the ditch with it. If the bank slopes, you can get as close as you can, but we don't have the ability to reach down in the ditch. If we wanted to up our maintenance on the ditches, this mower that we're quoting, it offsets hydraulically about 4 foot off the tractor, and it has the ability to go down 30 degrees and up 90 degrees, so.
Who does the one like down in Bell Avenue, and they have that little ditch down there over the, that isn't you guys that do that, is it?
We get what we can when we mow the roadside.
What's the tractor with balloon tires on it?
Yeah, that's what we have, but the mower is just fixed behind the tractor, whatever.
Well, it's a hard ditch to mow, I know that.
They get down as far as they can, and sometimes they get too far.
But then they'll help mow it.
But if we, it's up to you, but if you wanted to, this would give us the ability not to mow the private side, but it would be able to mow ditches right down in the bottom of the ditch and the bank side towards the road.
Where is this an issue though, mostly?
Ithaca Road's one, North Main, there's some on Flint Street, Walnut, there's some issues. There's not a lot, but we have some that it would be useful for. And
Well, if you wanna maintain the ditches.
that's it, we have what we have right now, so that's.
Is there a price for the lingo equipment quote?
It's on there, it didn't get printed out very good, I think it's 14,000.
Oh.
There it is.
It didn't
Is it
print
behind
very.
it? Oh.
It's on the back.
But it printed weird, so,
Oh.
but
Is that to buy new?
that would be new, yes.
Is that something that you can lease, or isn't it?
It's such a specialty mower that you can't lease it. It's, most of them are actually made in Europe, that style. The one the county uses, is all hydraulically driven, them are about 40 grand.
Yeah.
And we'd have to upgrade our tractor, and we don't wanna do that. This is PTO driven, but it does hydraulically offset, and like I said, I think 30 degrees down and 90 degrees up it can mow.
Yeah, we used it enough to justify it, I mean, we've
Yeah,
been
so
doing
it's
it all
up to
these
you if
years
you wanna-
without it. I
It
don't
would be
know.
useful, but, it's still costly.
I mean, I see the guys when they mow around the ditches and they get pretty.
So you're not looking for a new tractor, just a
No, this
mower?
would go on our existing tractor.
Tractor, yeah.
And it's
3.1.
14,000?
No, 10, I think 10 or 11.
11,790 and 14,10.
I got 14.
There's another one.
There's
behind
another
it.
one behind
Another
There's two.
page.
Right,
Oh.
nope.
Card Brothers. and
Oh,
one
Card,
other.
okay.
Gotcha.
It's also a lot safer, right?
Yeah, the tractor stays up on the ditch bank.
That's, yeah.
Is there a big difference between the two quotes? I don't know anything about tractors.
I think quality wise, they're both adequate for what we need. Either one would do the job.
That's local, yeah.
And they both are available this fall, I'm pretty sure. That's what they said in the building. Or if it's something you wanna budget for next year, whatever your pleasure, I guess, you know.
Does one have a bigger deck than the other?
I think they're
I'm
both
thinking
similar.
90-inch and one 75-inch.
Yeah, that's not a huge enough
Okay.
difference to make a big difference.
Okay.
What do you guys think? Cause you're the ones that,
I mean, we do the best we can with what we have, but that would definitely be you'd be able to do a better job. I mean, you'd be able to reach down into the bottom of the ditch where we can't get now with the tractor.
Have you had complaints from anyone as far
I've
as?
seen them around other places.
Any residents
I
complaining?
mean, they're probably so used to what they're getting now that, you know, I think, but it wouldn't, I mean, even like the ditch we cleaned on Ithaca Road, what, 3-4 years ago? You get weeds and brush growing up and you just can't reach anything to it. You don't have the ability.
Can we comment on that, or? I just know that I had them out last year cleaning my ditch out because there were so many weeds growing out of on the roadside. And they had to come out with a backhoe and clean it all out. They cleaned my ditch out and everything, so this would save that problem. A lot of stuff grows out of the ditches that blocks road vision.
Does come out of the DPW budget?
This would come out of the equipment fund.
This sounds like a lot of money for just a mower.
I will make a motion to approve the quote from Card Brothers. I like keeping stuff local, and they're closer than Saginaw.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Jimmy Kendall,
Yes.
Dorsey McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jaworski,
No.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
I'm gonna say no.
Troy Freed.
Yes.
So that mean you buy it this year, or is it going on the budget for next year?
Buy it this year.
How much is on our equipment fund that we
$58,000.
can? Just saying, you gotta look down the road too, you know, we're gonna need other equipment,
That's remaining left for the rest of the year till April, or till March 30th, April 1.
I wouldn't mind
That's a
budgeting
fund.
for next year.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
You know as well as I do, you go buying new tractors and trucks and whatever, don't take that as nothing compared to, what's needed. So you let the fund build up and then we need something it's there versus.
It don't matter now, cause the vote's been had, so.
Just saying.
Yep.
Item E,
Something to think about.
TMF grant exhibit.
As Mitchell stated, we received the TMF grant, $597,000 to continue the work of the DWAM grant. The state of Michigan is requiring us due to the lead and copper rule of 2018 to locate and verify service lines after the Flint water crisis. We were able to do over 200 service lines with the 397,000, or part of the 397,000 last year. This is over 400 lines and over 400 houses, which puts us over halfway of identifying all the village houses. So I think the state set a timeline of you have to have until, to do what, 5% a year or something?
Yeah, in 2040, they gotta be all.
2040, you have to be completely done. Our goal is to be done by 2026. And that puts us ahead of everybody else to go after grants so that we can continue the work of phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, so that in 2042, all the pensions are paid up, the road millage is off the taxes, and the village will be flush with money to do all the fun projects they want. So this starts the process. We're working with the state. We had to close out the DWAM to start this. They didn't want anything overlapping, so that's why we worked on the DWAM pretty hard the last couple weeks to finalize those numbers and get them to them. So this starts the exhibit for us to begin the design and work for that. So your approval for the agreement between us and Spicer would be wonderful. 420 water service lines. The cool part about that is we started putting everything to ArcGIS. When Tito was here, we just asked Tito, where's that line? And he would say, oh, I put it here in 1973, it's right here, or 83. Now we have it all digitized up to about 3 feet where we can find exactly where it is. We have it all mapped out. You can scroll, you can look, you can do it on your iPad. So that decades from now, you're not pulling out paper from the back room that has coffee spilled on it, you can't see anything. You can go onto our site and you can just flip your fingers and go, okay, it's right here, here's the water main break, here's where it connects. Have a cut down on some of that time, with the goal being cut down the time and efficiency. Maybe some of that overtime comes back. Kidding. Sorry, Tyler.
You don't want that kind of work.
Oh, okay.
Tyler's gonna be our next, Tito, isn't he?
That's his goal, I heard.
That's who was training him.
I'll make a motion that we accept the, TMF grant.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Item F, engagement letter audit 2025-2027.
This is to continue using Berthium and Company for 2025, 26, and 27. On the last page, you will see the cost. Auditing services are not cheap. I think we work mostly with Darcy. She does a wonderful job. Ken comes in for the riveting report. But at the same time, they're a good company. They still ask us the tough questions. They still look at every penny. Here's a quote to continue that service. If you'd like me to seek elsewhere, I'd be more than willing to seek elsewhere. But
How long have we had it? How long have we had it?
as long as I've been here.
They know us, I think we stay.
It's, Troy and I were talking, they come and they ask you the questions which you feel like they're trying to trap you into a lie or something and make you feel real uncomfortable, maybe not you, Lou, because you're an honest person, but, you start sweating a little bit, you're like, and it's like, are you worried about embezzling? Do you know of any funds are you concerned about? And you have to answer all these questions on record, it's all public, and they're very fair, strict but fair. Obviously the price has gone up a couple $1,000. But again, they're very thorough and
This is the wrong profession.
I mean, as he knows his stuff. He audits the Michigan Waste Authority, which is, since '91 has been basically the entire Saginaw County, and now they're branching out, so that's millions upon millions of dollars. But
After he explains it, you can actually he goes back to okay, this is what this means, and that's
Yeah, that's
very,
what
very
I like
helpful.
about
I
that.
really
Yeah.
appreciate that he does that.
he's talking about all that money, and I'm just like, that's tied up in phase 1 for the next, until 2042. That's the crazy part. We owe 290,000 next year, and 300,000, and 303, and 305, and 305, and 305. It is a lot of money. But we do, divvy it up amongst where we think they spend their time. You know, they do audit the water fund, they do audit the sewer fund, they look at rates and issues, and so the general fund, this doesn't all come out of the general fund.
Mhm.
They look at DDA funds as well, so some DDA funds. So it's split amongst government and business entities.
I don't know how to say his last name, but I'll make a motion that we continue with this company.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Let's do a roll call.
Oh, roll call. Good call.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski,
Yeah.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Troy Freak.
Item G, the fishing pier.
So the fishing pier head wall is done thanks to DPW. Lakeside Services and Docks will be out next week to put in the fishing pier at Lumberjack Park. Greg called me about 8 o'clock last night asking if we wanted the bench kit with arms and hardware. I said send me a quote. And so he sent a quote for 2 of them. He thinks it'd look nice, it'd give a feature. It's the same bench that's on the kayak launch currently. As you see, as you know, the DDA agreed to pay 50%. So what we would be at, the price for the village would be $1,079. There is money in the parks budget for this payment. If you are so interested, I sent down the picture of what it looks like. I said, what if we only want one? What if we don't want any? And he said he's okay with all of it. So it's really up to you and kind of think about what you'd want. It will be going in next week. He has a surgery scheduled for the last week in August, so he's trying to get it in before the surgery, and then he has a big project. I think Bay City's putting another one of these somewhere up there. that
Can
is-
we put the dock in and then see how it is and then put the seats in later? I mean, cause most people, I mean, if I'm fishing, I usually bring my own chair, I mean, or there's a bench up on the shore, I mean, if we can put them in later to see how it goes and then,
Yeah.
if needed,
Yep, I said it straight up, if we don't want these, you okay? He goes, well, I ordered them, if you don't want them, I'll put them in Bay City. I said,
We
okay.
need to get the fishing dock in first. Oh, look at benches and everything.
It's your call.
Was there one on it?
There's
Do we have
none,
any? There's
none
none.
currently.
I think
It
we need
comes-
at least
comes
one.
as a
Maybe one
platform.
would be good, just so we are considerate, as Hart said earlier, of elder
Right.
people.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
too,
Something like that.
too gonna be too much where you can't walk around.
Right.
I don't know.
I think,
Big enough for two.
right, I think one would be adequate, or at least I think for that.
I saw an older couple sitting in a kayak launch, eating their lunch and
Oh, that's
fishing one day,
cute.
Yeah.
on the bench, so.
Tell me again when the boat launch is going in, Hart. Please.
Hold on, let me find these. This is the fishing pier. Let me see if I can get some documentation. So it's 26 feet wide, supplemental float. So the actual
How do you know?
dock is about 9 feet 9 inches with the securing going out 24 feet. So it's rather large.
I mean, that's, the dock goes out, but how big is the actual
Uh,
landing where you-
26 feet.
where the benches are gonna be 26 by what?
It's 26 by 9'9".
I mean, if you think about it, we are paying for one and then DDA is gonna pay for the other.
Right,
Yeah.
you put it that way, yeah.
And there is money in the parks budget.
I use the boat, so whatever.
Well, some people have
Roll call vote, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski,
Yeah.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris.
Yes.
Troy Freed.
Old business, item A, the ADA park swing.
So the price, or the cost is $921. Parks Committee looked at other ADA swings, they start at about $1,300, $1,200 to $1,300. So this is 50% off. The problem was the shipping, being $475 compared to the 50% off being $446. The DDA has agreed to pay the shipping, if you are willing to pay for the cost of the swing.
Wasn't it coming from Texas or something?
Correct,
Because currently we only have one swing.
correct, ADA swing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're paying the $446.
Yeah, in Texas.
That is what's on the table.
I guess we're gonna have the
That's
problem, and
good.
have it happen again in a couple of months, I mean, how do you know?
That's when you say maybe shame on us then. if
Well,
we
I
do it
think,
again.
I think one of the cameras that we received, will go to Coal Miners Park near
It's already
the
there.
playscape. It's already there.
Up and
Yeah,
running.
so we're watching the swing, we're watching the playscape, we're watching the ship.
Cool beans.
Right to the police phones, at both parks now.
Just be careful, big brother's watching.
More anyway.
I mean, that's a pretty good price.
They want it. If, you know, it sounds like they want it and they're willing to pay for shipping, I'm thinking, why not, you know, if they're gonna
Let's try it again
cover it.
and see what happens.
Right, and if it doesn't, you know,
Well, if you
shame on us,
take
we
the
don't do it
opportunity
again.
the way you can, I think, because if you gotta have it, you gotta have it. If they're paying for half it, and we're not paying for the whole thing,
And if you recall, when we put the playscape in, there was a lot of complaints that it wasn't enough for ADA compliance.
Oh.
Yep.
Hence the reason we got the swings in the first place, thinking that we would probably calm some of those
Mhm.
complaints, but it really didn't work.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the ADA compliant swing.
I'll support.
Roll call, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yes.
Paul Jenderski,
yes.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris,
Yes.
Troy Freed.
Yes.
Item B, Ithaca Road ditching.
In front of you is a proposal to fix the ditching on Ithaca Road. For background information, in 2021, the village paid $6,000 to Everett Excavating to clean up and clear the ditching on the north and south side of Ithaca Road, right where we're discussing. In 2022, we jetted down there for Mr. Kilborn's house, or his culvert. Also in 2021, we replaced the culvert going across the road near the end of Ithaca to make sure that water could
culvert.
flow and had a way, somewhere to go. Make sure that
Cover
it was
underneath Ithaca Road going to the river.
correct. We put a brand new pipe in there, new asphalt, everything, so that's just the historical there. As you can see, high points, low points, all around. Talking to engineers, you can do the 6,000 every year, or you can, do a special assessment on ditches and do it right once for decades.
Well, I just don't get how you go from having somebody clean it out for a few $1,000s to $91,000. I mean, back in the day, they'd tell Bud Boswell, Mr. Crowfoot, Tito, hey, go clean the ditch out. They go do it, it'd be done in a couple hours, done. And now here we are talking $91,000. That's
Paul,
crazy.
let me talk. So, a little molehill got turned into a mountain on Ithaca Road, right? So look at the drama that's created here. I don't get it so much. The ditching, it probably took 3 years, me coming in and mentioning it needed ditch. I wasn't having a water problem. My neighbors were having water problems. The guy upstream from me, I put a sump pump in. He'd been there 20 years, never had water. I did. Put it in, helped his water. finally, it got ditched. I just talked to him tonight, his sump pump never turns on. Nobody's having an issue right now, it's preventative maintenance. Eventually, it's building up in the ditch, we mow alongside, where's that grass go? It goes down into the ditch. The way it was presented, the last council meeting, there's a couple council members that are gonna benefit from it. I don't have a ditch in front of my house.
I don't have a ditch in front of my.
She doesn't have a ditch in front of her house. This was for my neighbors, is what it is. $91,000 to go and dig them all up? No way. 6,000 every year? It's not gonna be every year if it's done right. It wasn't done right last time from invert to invert. I was out of town, I got home, and I could see it wasn't, they didn't check the grade going along. So, maybe $5,000-6,000, how long will it last? Could last 5, 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, I don't know, if it's done correctly. Will we come across a bad culvert or two in the driveway? Maybe. We flush the culverts out as we ditch. I'm not getting benefit of it. I mean, it's like, I'm trying to help my neighbors, that's what it's about. That's why I put a sump pump in for one of my neighbors. I wasn't having any water issues. I mean, the hostility that this has created is, it just blows me away, to be honest with you.
$91,000 worth of hostility.
Do we,
Well, that's not
do,
what it was last.
do we have a,
Come on, let's get order here.
do we have a actual figure for item B in old business? Anywhere?
The numbers we got from.
I emailed it to you, $91,235.
And that's way overkill. Now, if he was to present that, there's probably majority would pass that. I would disagree 100%. I do this stuff every day, infrastructure. That's why I'm sitting here. That's why I went to join. I know a lot of people didn't want me here. I'm not part of the clique and all that, but
Well, click,
I know
what are you
infrastructure.
referring to? I'm not a part of no click.
There's a lot.
Pardon me?
I'm not a part of no click. What
Okay,
click
now.
are you referring to?
Not talking to you, Eddie.
Me.
There's just a lot, you know
I'm
how
just-
that goes.
Give me your.
I'm just saying, it's like, but I do know infrastructure. And I would disagree with the 91,000 all day long. Mitch, if we were to do it as I did, invert to invert, and jet the culverts as we go, what are we gonna increase from where it is right now?
You would clean it up. I mean, there's high spots you'd probably take out.
Right.
I stress the condition of the culverts, and you're not gonna know until you get there.
Correct.
And at this point, you know, that estimate includes replacement of the culverts, it includes cleaning the driveways up, digging the ditch deeper, and clearing the backside of the bank so you don't end up with debris in the ditch.
But now, if you put a ditch in there and now you have to access your house to the other side if it was brand new, who's responsible for that driveway and the cul-de-sac or the tube underneath? The homeowner, correct?
That's the way the ordinance is
But the
written.
ditch itself is actually maintained and dug by the village, the state, the county, correct?
The village is maintaining the roads, the road is providing drainage for the roadway. The ditch is providing drainage for the roadway.
Just saying, if the tile and the roadway going to somebody's house is bad and it needs to be fixed, yeah, it's a money thing, I get it, but it's just a lot of money. You can't go digging up everybody's ditch and replacing everything.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I don't.
I don't blame these
see
people
need
for
that at all.
complaining about it. That's a lot of money. A lot of people don't have that kind of money, especially right now. Hard times. But if you could just clean out the ditch, call
That's
it
it.
good,
That's
no more drama.
So we agree that the premise of a ditch is to keep water off the road,
100%.
which it's doing.
And it keeps the road, if the road stays saturated, the freeze thaw tears roads up.
True story.
I mean, that's,
Water's gotta go somewhere.
It goes to the river, it flows, it's flowing.
The ditch does work now, if you go down.
right, the ditch is,
I
it
got
is
no dog
working
in the
all.
fight. I don't live on that road, but I
No,
do
it
live in the
does work.
community.
It is working right now, and that's why I say, this created, it was a little molehill. All I was saying preventive maintenance wise, we can wait and wait and wait again, but that's all it was. And it's turned into just a big drama.
But if we dig
It's
it
money.
deeper and don't realign the culverts, we're not gaining anything. We're gaining mosquito retention ponds.
If what?
If you got a high culvert and you dig the ditch deeper,
I understand.
all you're creating is a retention.
If you go invert to invert though,
Okay,
right,
but if the one's higher, what are you gaining
well, right now,
on the outlet side?
you're gonna gain flow if I mean, head pressure's gonna push, and right now, we're in sand, right? We have sand down 20 feet. Right now, they're pretty dry. I mean, now, during the dry time, it's time to do it. And it's not that big of a deal. It's gonna help.
If you do invert to invert, I'm 1,000 feet from the next driveway, you can't do invert in. That works great in subdivisions, in small areas where you're close to each other, you can line that out. When you got a 15-foot drop and you're 1,000 foot from the next driveway, you can't do invert to invert, it's just physically impossible. All you do is have a swamp down here in the middle, and nothing will be solved. The thing flows just the way it is. I'll walk it, I'll rent a truck, and we can all go down there and drink a beer and watch. There's nothing down there, there's no water anywhere. I'll pay for it. I didn't say everybody, I just talked about.
Oh, you said we can all go. You said we can all go, you opened it up.
Well, it's a lot cheaper than $10,000, so I guess it comes to it.
I guess we should just do it like anything else. If something happens and it's a complaint, then address it.
So here's the other historical knowledge on that is the end of the SAW grant when I got here was the end. But the village agreed to maintain a low level of maintenance on ditching, and as an on need or as needed basis. Because there's no funding mechanism through the state, there's no funding mechanism through the county. So, unlike these other grants, so maybe a crisis happens like Flint in ditching world, or somebody's culvert collapses and somebody dies. Okay, and now there's state grants for this.
Right.
But until there's a funding mechanism, the village has agreed, and you know, if you want to change that, we can look into it and budget.
Well, just like the county road though, the county roads, do they maintain the ditches?
They have a different budget than we have.
Okay, but a lot of times it comes out of paving and it comes out of roads.
Who's our drain commission? Is that Wenswick? Who is it?
Still
Rain, wind,
one way
Is it
in.
Wendell?
Ryan.
Ryan.
Maybe we should ask him, see what he thinks.
Could 100% do that.
Oh, that was my question, doesn't the county,
The county ditched their road up to our sign a few years ago. They stopped because it's our road, so they stopped.
that's what I wondered.
Yeah, they came right up to the,
You did get a
Our sign.
quote from the county though to do the ditch, correct?
pardon me?
You did get a quote from the county to do the ditch?
That was a few
Yeah,
years
the-
back,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the county,
It's changed now, and they're too big.
exactly.
Without a special funding source, we're kind of paying off roads and water and lead, and we kind of set it with the SAW grant into the DWAM grant into phase two. Obviously, that's 100% federally funded grant, but if you want to start looking at budgeting for preventative maintenance of ditching, we can start with this flail mower and see where it goes. No question, there are probably some ditching issues, and we've had some complaints on Walnut in the past that have required attention. But that was the level of service the village agreed to in the SAW grant.
Well, I don't think we stopped talking about it. I think, eventually it needs to be,
Well, let's
figured
do,
out
Let's do
and.
something with this here.
But
But
so
there's
the
a lot
premise,
going
the premise
on.
of this 91 is if we're gonna do the project, if we're gonna talk about it, let's do it the right way once rather than.
You're still gonna
I
unless-
think you're
maintain
going to
it,
the
though.
extreme.
So, you know what I mean? If
Correct.
we did it, what Mitch, in a perfect world, and we had endless money, right?
Right.
It still has to be maintained.
Correct.
Yes.
Yep.
And we're not.
But
the-
maintaining where it's uneven is, fine in theory, but poor in practice. It's like communism, great in theory, poor in practice. Doesn't work.
Okay.
Well, I don't totally understand everything here. I
Mhm.
would like to go out and take a look
Mhm.
at it so I can understand it better. We have 2-3 people in the audience, and I think the ditches are fine. So,
You have engineers saying
my
ditches are
thought
fine.
is,
I'm not gonna put Austin on his list yet.
I'm not gonna.
This is Austin, by the way, from Spicer. He's a Michigan State graduate.
I just,
I'm not gonna agree
think they
to,
do a great job. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to read a level or a transit to,
Right.
Do we have to pay these guys to come out and read a transit? I mean, come on, you can just go point to point. I mean, just Seems like a lot of wasted money for this ditch project that we're not even, maybe not even doing.
Mitchell did this out of the goodness of his own heart.
Oh, well, attaboy.
Just sweetie.
Put more orange spots in the end of my driveway, it freaks me out.
No water.
We're gonna get a motion, or are we gonna table it, or
Table
what?
it. Table it till we find a little more info on it.
Can I get a motion to table
Motion to
it?
table it.
Can I get a second?
I'll second the table.
All those in favor?
Yay.
All those opposed? Did anybody vote? Anybody vote? I didn't hear anybody.
That's a problem.
A roll call it then?
No, it should be just a yea or nay.
What's the thing? I didn't hear a yay or a nay.
Just don't table
Well,
it,
we
just
don't-
find out some
what
more
are we voting,
information,
the
talk to it later.
91,000?
We're not
What are we-
voting in or
what's the
out.
vote?
We're voting to table it.
I guess what more information are we gonna find? We have an engineer here who's told us, we have residents here who's told us. What more information
Drain
do
commission.
we need, I guess?
Money, see what more we need. We're gonna dig up people's driveways to do this? Is it really gonna cost us $91,000? Or down?
We're gonna do it right?
Well, we're not doing it right.
We'll put a Band-Aid on it.
Not when
I just say we need a little more info, more time to think about it.
you're 91,000
table
is
it.
too much
Okay, done, table it.
right now.
All the,
What's the purpose of tabling?
They wanna find more information from.
Well,
Just give you some more time to think about it before we just say yes or no. And looking at it a little more, maybe get a hold of drain commission, county, something.
I would say after talking to Mitch and then talking to
well, if
some
you wanna
people
vote,
in
then
the
let's vote it.
audience.
So there's a motion on the table.
Just vote on it, please. I'd like to see it up and down.
Is there a motion?
I motion to table it, but whatever. You guys want a motion to shoot it down or yak it up? Go
So you
ahead.
got the
We're
vote.
shooting down the
Roll call vote on the
91,000.
table.
Oh, shooting
For
down to
sure,
91,000
right?
for sure.
Well, the motion on the table is to table it. We can table it for 1 month and bring it back next month. There is a second. Because there was no vote, you would go to a roll call, yea or nay to table.
I'm not talking a
Now,
month.
if
I'm-
it's no on tabling, then you can go back and create another motion.
Roll call, please.
Jamie Kendall,
Nay.
Darcy McSwain,
No.
Paul Janerski,
Yeah.
Edgar Titoff,
No.
Michael Nesbitt,
No.
Kathy Harris, Troy Freed.
No.
I'll make a motion, we leave it alone for now. Leave it the way it is.
Is there any other information that you
And if
you
we
guys
ever-
could find?
Keep it down, please.
Gotta do some, make a
I'll
motion,
make a motion, we leave it the way it is for now.
the ditch.
I'll
There are
support.
people being against it than being for it.
You got the same thing.
Or roll call that one too.
Your call.
Roll call.
Jamie Kendall,
Yes.
Darcy McSwain,
Yeah.
Paul Janerski,
Yes.
Edgar Titoff,
Yes.
Michael Nesbitt,
Yes.
Kathy Harris, Troy Freed.
Yes.
What was that motion for?
What was that
To
motion
leave
for?
it.
Yeah,
So
so
leave
it's
it.
the same thing as
Leave it.
tabling it,
Leave
it's
it
just like
alone.
whatever.
Leave it alone
Yeah,
for
but
Nobody said that, they just said leave
I
it.
said,
Just
leave it
saying.
alone,
You
we'll
didn't
leave
say
it the way it is for
Leave
now.
it alone and table it, it's the same
I'm not gonna
thing.
spend any money on
You
it.
didn't say that.
I just said leave it alone, leave it the way it is.
I'll leave it alone.
I appreciate that.
Department reports, DPW. Please be quiet.
July 2024 DPW monthly report for July. Water, we pumped 5,002,000 gallons, that's equals 161,000 gallons a day. We had our annual, they call it sanitary survey with Eagle, with the engineer. It's, they go over and make sure you're abiding by all the Safe Drinking Water Act rules and all their regulations, we have no violations. Lead and copper samples have all been taken.
actually had very good results. There's nothing above the maximum contaminant level. On the sewer, we pumped 5.4 million gallons, which is 176,000 gallons a day. And we did take another water sample, which is a quarterly sample for disinfection byproducts. And that is taken quarterly, that was delivered to Lansing. And we did the East Maple Street Lift Station, we did have to pull a pump again for plugged up with rags and wipes. We did tag doors for non-payment. We did turn off, I think, about 12 services for non-payment. We did put up poles for the chief for the cameras at Lumberjack Park and at the Playscape. We're finishing up, going through all the plans for phase one, checking all the valves, make sure everything works, nothing got hit by a homeowner and doesn't work. We did pick out 25 sites with Relief of Michigan for Hurt Street Planning Grant. We had the asphalt bid, we did paint curbs uptown. We got quotes for the flail mower, we worked on some of the lagoon gating and valving, and we delivered our lead and copper actually sample reports to the homeowners.
Who printed this up? This is not old person friendly, this is like.
So that's my fault. I have it color coded on my computer.
It's
Just
like, wow.
we made copies. I'll try to print them all in color so that you guys can see a little bit better. But I've received a few complaints about the quality of the report last month, so we I try to make it a little bit better with.
Okay, what is the installed park bench, Hemi and buckwheat? What the hell's that?
Bonnie Hemgesberg bought a park bench and her and her husband's friend.
Okay, I get it.
And that's what they wanted
I
on their
understand.
names.
They were just naming them or something.
Their nicknames. Apparently they went for, I think, a Harley ride every Wednesday morning, had a couple beers and came back for a long time.
Yeah, what carpet it says at the Goodrich Park?
Yeah, wet carpet, leak, check it out, fix.
You all set, Don?
You don't have any more questions or concerns?
A little more detail.
Thanks. Thanks, Ben.
Item B, Police Department report.
So what do we wanna talk about?
You're the talk of the town with the new truck.
Yeah.
So I love the tailgate.
Made sure everybody got to see it, put it out there, we just finally took delivery of it. I'd like to say thanks to Don for the numerous rides back and forth throughout the last couple of weeks. Taking me back and forth to Freeland and Saginaw, dropping cars off, picking cars up, moving them around, so. Makes it easy when I could have him break off and help me out there for that. Appreciate that. So, I was actually extremely pleased with the turnout of it, especially the design on it. I think it's sleek, it's not flash pizzazz, it's a police car. It's what it's for. And that's what the function's gonna be for. But there's lots of things that we could use it for that I've already thought about, thinking about. I got all those bikes in the garage I've been trying to get rid of. I can now haul them someplace to take them somewhere, instead of waiting for somebody to come get them. So I can throw them in the back and pick up, take them somewhere. In the near future, something I wanted to think about, I brought up to heart, there's really no compartment in the back to store our gear, like our medical stuff and stuff like that. I left that on purpose because the price of the truck was so high. Just something for next year to think about. I was looking at getting options on, they have those, the compartments that slide out for the back of the pickups. They have them in the Fords. These ones are just a little bit more because they gotta go past the tailgate. So it's just something to just put in the back of your mind that I'll have that on the budget for next year, is to put that compartment in the back of the pickup so I can store all the medical supplies, stuff you carry, instead of just having totes rolling around back there.
Is that one of the ones that are set lower and then?
They're set lower and it's deck slides.
And you still have the truck bed basically on top of
Yeah,
that?
it's got the base, you can use the top of
Pretty
it.
cool.
Yeah, but the whole thing just slides out, so that way all your gear's inside there. I even looked at different options because I didn't plan on doing anything with that this year because of everything else the cost was there, so. That's just something to think about for next year. Pretty busy July, 65 reports, busier than normal. We are on pace to break 500 reports, which in a small village is quite a bit. So it's, but, you know, a lot of those reports, like we had 8, pistol permits this month, and that's a report for each one of them, because I have to notate it that I did a report for them, I did a check, so. The numbers are up, but there's reasons for it, it's not just because our crime is up, it's for all these other little things that we're now doing that adds to these report numbers, but the numbers are there, which in the long run, numbers helps us with the state in terms of funding and stuff like we get for training officers. Speaking of which, we have a new program that the state's come out with, which is called CPE program, which is mandatory training that all officers have to get per year now. Certain amount of hours and certain amount of categories, and they base that what it is. We have done one already, we did our EVO training, our emergency vehicle operations training, we did that earlier this year. You have to do that every 2 years, we did that this year, that way we're all in the same year, so in 2 years then we all gotta go again. I'm not having to figure out who's gotta go which way. But now we also have, I think it's 8 more hours of certain classes that we have to take, that's, the state has deemed that we have to for this year. The problem is we have a Delta consortium, and it, doesn't cover these very well. So what the other chiefs were doing, they talked about in the chiefs meeting, was they're going to this program called policeone.com, which is a online training program, and they have programs that are geared specifically for the CPE program, so they give you the classes that you're gonna need to take. I have a Zoom meeting tomorrow with them to go through it, to see how much, obviously, what it's gonna be is what it's gonna cost. So, the one big question I had for them is because my thought was, if we can get everything done in this one place, then we'll just drop the consortium fee for Delta, we don't need it anymore, we'll just go to Police One. The only concern I have is if they can offer that EVOC training, the road course training. So that's just one thing I gotta look into. But what the other chiefs were saying is they just went there and they did both of them. Well, I don't think they did both of them. If I can do one, I'm just gonna do one. So that's something that I'll probably have on the docket for next month, is maybe switching courses or maybe having another price, but we have to get this training done one way or the other. If we don't get it, then the department fails, like an inspection. We have to have, the officers fail, you gotta get it done. It's yearly training, so it's something I can't really look into. Now, every year after this now, because I started half the year, I think it's 24 or 30 hours we have to do every year, mandatory, of certain classes, which I think it's a good thing. It's accountability, so I've got no problem with it. It's easy to get done as long as we have the right place to do it. End of the month, Skylar starts her police academy. Talked to her today. They're really excited, but I think it's a nervous excitement. She asked several questions. She's really gung-ho about doing it. Is already planning her time to come here and get started training, so looking forward to that. So hopefully, and in December, we have somebody new that we can train and work for getting more coverage hours. Most of you know that we had the big head-on collision last week. Female crossed over the center line, crossed over the turn lane, hit a semi-truck head-on. That was a be on the lookout call from Owasso, so she'd been driving for quite a while before she finally got in an accident or somebody caught up to her, so. Nobody got hurt. She had some minor injuries she was in the hospital for, but nope, she wasn't. You would think an accident like that somebody was killed on scene, but didn't happen, so. Still waiting on results on some certain things to see what was going on, why that happened, but that was the big to-do, because then the MDOT called and asked for how long the road was closed and all this kind of stuff, so. But we got taken care of. Thanks for DPW help with traffic control at that time too, and the fire department. You guys came out and helped with that too. Just so happens we had lines going down while we were rerouting traffic. So it was a little bit of commotion, so. Any questions? Comments?
Great
Anybody wanna
job.
go for a ride?
Yes.
If I can ride in the back.
You can, it's bigger now. There's a lot more room back there. I sat in it, you can sit, it's comfortable. I opened it myself. I just didn't jump on
Item C, building inspector code enforcement report.
Good evening, everyone. It was a very slow month. We only had one permit issued. It was a mechanical permit for a furnace and air conditioning unit. As for the complaints, I still have one open on Main west-north, that one was resolved, the vehicles were removed. And I have another one open still on Flint Street. At the end of the month, I have to go back and review that, and if it's still in the condition it is today, we'll be issuing a civil infraction ticket and going back to court. It is a second time around for that, so we'll be hit with a higher fee, fines. And we'll go from there, probably end up claiming it again. That's all I have.
Thanks, Scott.
Scott. Any other public comments? Come on up.
First of all, I want to apologize for my outburst, but the 91,000 is just kind of boggling. So I want to apologize for that. And Hart, I want to thank you for a wonderful audit and for all the grants that you get this village. I'm very happy about that. I appreciate it. And for the trees, all the trees that you're planting. And I want to congratulate the police department on their new pickup.
Thank you.
And I want to ask you if we have full-time service now?
We have, yeah.
Around the clock?
No, not 24 hours, no.
Okay.
No, we were getting close to having close to 20, but then, with what happened with Curtis, now, when Kyler comes out of the academy, we should have close to 20 hours a day, maybe more.
Okay, thank you. And, Hart, explain to me what happened about the road ditch. They voted it down, right? It's not happening?
Correct.
So if, correct me if I'm wrong, they can't come back again for a year?
Correct, but we can look at ways to budget and fund project with village
Right, but you
general
can't-
fund dollars.
you can't
There
clean
won't be a special assessment at this time.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come
Just
on
real
up.
quick, Hart, there's a lot of questions. Can you explain how we paid for the truck?
Truck, general fund dollars, we bought the Explorer EV that's supposed to shut down when you're sitting idling. In 2020, it's a COVID car, it's been in and out of the shop nonstop since we got it, even when Julie's here, and I think she smashed a couple of deer with it and had to have it fixed. So we saved for 3.5 years, just budgeted, cut the police budget for about 3 years other than personnel. Kept them kind of bare minimum. We were still under union contract there, so it's kind of set. So we were able to save and we used our savings to purchase this truck. We bid out a couple different options and went with the lower truck, outfitted it, but we saved for 3.5 years. Our tax rate has not changed since 2016 and will not change until 2035 when the local street millage falls off. We are already maxed out as of 2016, so it wasn't increase in taxes. Your property tax value went up. That's nothing that we can do about that. And it's not water rates, that's a separate fund. Sewer rates, those are business, propriety funds that are only for business related to water and sewer that we have to send to the state regularly for audit. So.
I think that's what you're referring to, because even online they were saying like, oh, that's why our water rates went up.
And people just don't understand the.
Right. And that's the beauty of the audit, it's right in the beginning, kind of explaining the business fund versus the proprietary funds. Government activities are the basic services, business types are the villages where we can charge fees to customers to recover a portion or significant portion of certain services we provide, which is water and sewer. Different funds.
Yeah, thank you. I love the truck. I don't wanna see it in my yard.
Should be the last police car for a few years.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Next week,